You remember Mercurochrome?
I remember Mercurochrome.
Mercurochrome was just... It was... Nobody wanted... It was retarded. I don't know if it helped, if it didn't. You would put it on your skin and you'd have these red stains all over your chin and your elbows. Remember that?
Yeah, so you couldn't tell if you were bleeding anymore or what.
I remember these kids coming to school, and every now and then, they always had a Band-Aid on their chin with Mercurochrome stains underneath it. And then when it healed, they'd take the Band-Aid off, but there was still that red patch. It would last like 5 or 6 days.
That's the patch of healing.
That's the patch of healing. But, I was wondering where all the Mercurochrome went, because nobody seems to have it. A lot of people, anyone under 50, never even heard of it. If anybody that has a mother that's 75 years old or older, if you go into their house and look in their medicine cabinet, that same bottle of Mercurochrome that she put on your chin when you were in 5th grade, it's still there. And do you know why? I figured it out. I thought of this. I figured the whole thing out. Did your mother ever put Mercurochrome on any wounds she had? She never did it. My mother never did. Did you ever see a woman, anyone's mother, walking around with a red stain on her face? She put the Mercurochrome on you because every time you fell off, she knew you'd look weird, and she'd be like, you know what? That'll teach the little bastard to fall off his bicycle again.
What was the difference between Mercurochrome and iodine?
Well, iodine was just iodine. Mercurochrome was a mix of iodine. It had mercury in it. It was a brand name.
Is it on the periodic table?
No, that would be an element.
It would be like helium, strontium, Mercurochrome.
There's actually, if you look it up, there's actually a molecular diagram of it. I don't know what you call it. You remember it had that little plastic applicator?
Yeah.
It was a plastic thing. It was just like sliced up into little pieces. The Food and Drug Administration removed it from the generally recognized as safe into the untested classification as for fears of potential mercury poisoning.
So we have this unsafe substance, mercury, which could lead to all sorts of health problems, and our parents were putting it directly.
No, they wouldn't put. No, it was mercury that was like. It's like saying you can't breathe in carbon; it'll kill you. But what is water? It's H2O. You understand? You see, when you mix it with something else, then it's a whole different thing. Like NaCl is salt, right?
Salt.
But you can't just go out and drink chlorine.
No.
It'll hurt you. I think chlorine would be a good girl's name.
Chlorine.
Yeah. Like, Chlorine Sapienza.
Chlorine Capanudo. My Uncle Frankie, he made false teeth.
Really?
Right. On Flatbush Avenue. Uncle Frankie talked like this. There was a plane crash. I don't remember, like a jetliner, crashed in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
This was like in the early 60s.
Yeah.
And of all the people to stop on the street, because his office was right there, they stopped Uncle Frankie. Somebody's working in the office. I heard this loud noise. I come out the window. There's an airplane coming right down and goes right over that hill. And then there's this big fucking explosion. So anyway, in the making of these false teeth, I don't know if they still do it that way, but he used copious amounts of mercury. And he had these big bottles of mercury. Big bottles. And he said, can we play with the mercury? And he'd say, sure. Pour it in your hand and be like, whoa. Whoa. And you put it on the table and you blow on it and would slide across. It really was amazing stuff.
Mercury is the coolest.
My father had a brass ashtray. He used to smoke Lucky Strikes.
Ah.
And a brass ashtray, and I put the drop of mercury into the ashtray just to see what happened, a little experiment.
Yeah. And
it looked like, remember those snakes? They set them on fire and they go, yeah. Well, that's what happened.
Really?
Cigarette ash or the bronze or the brass or whatever it was, and the mercury had some kind of reaction, and the whole thing turned into this big, snake thing. And I think my mother What do you think she did with the mercury?
Dumped it down the sink.
Exactly. The drain is made out of brass or whatever it is. So then that starts like, bubbling up, and when they test the water, they say, oh, there's like 2 parts, per million of mercury in the drinking water. Well, that was us.
And now you know why we can't eat swordfish in the 60s. It's your mother's fault.
Fish full of mercury.
Carrie Butterworth reminded me of this. The mimeograph machines.
Yes.
Remember, it was this big wheel. Klabunk, klabunk, klabunk. And these things would come out. And then, of course, what would happen when you got your freshly mimeographed sheet? What's the first thing you would do when they gave it to you?
Oh, smell.
Yeah, you'd sniff, you hold it and go, ah. Of course, they always had the mimeograph doofus, the ditto machine geek. And it was always his job, Okay, now, Kevin, since you're the best student, you're going to go make the mimeograph copies. And I remember he was always pouring the stuff in, and he was always sniffing the can.
Yeah, you had to put that solvent in and that wet ink.
And then the teachers would say, John Teddy, why can't you be more like Kevin? Kevin really got it on the ball. I'd be like, right. And then like 20 years later, there's Kevin like working in a card shop, taking the bus. And I'd be like, hey, Kevin. And he'd be like, hi. And same look. He still had the curly hair and the bad complexion. And he was just it always goes back to Catholic school.
It always does.
Always goes back
Just
to
today I said that around 4th grade is when my life started going downhill.
Mm-hmm.
Catholic school.